It's Saturday, April 15th at about 1:15 p.m. in the afternoon, and I'm just out cleaning out some of our gardens. I typically let all the plants just die naturally in the garden in the fall, and I don't worry about getting them out then. I like to leave the seed heads in the garden for the wintering birds to eat if they want to. So now I'm just going and cleaning all the dead stuff out of the gardens, and it's amazing how much stuff you get. Out of this little garden here, which is only about 8 feet by 18 feet, I got a whole garden cart full of debris here out of the garden. So typically when I'm cleaning gardens in spring, the first thing I do is to get out these dead stems. Now, depending whether they're perennial stems or annual stems, I may just break them off at the ground with my hands if they snap easy enough. If not, I'll use little pruning shears like this, or even grass trimming shears if I have big loads of them to cut. Perennial stems just break off typically at the ground. If I know I'm in an area of annuals, I'll just pull them right out of the ground so I get the roots and all. And then I rake the ground, and in this case, these gardens here are just full of leaves from this big cottonwood tree. So basically here I just break off the stems and take them out, and then I'll rake up the leaves and then maybe see if there's anything else that needs to come out of here. So here we have a bunch of perennial phlox stems, and one advantage of leaving these till spring to take out is that at this time of year they just snap right off easily. You can just snap them off, and you can even see the new leaves coming up here. Got to be a bit careful so you don't pull too hard on them, or you may pull the plant right out. More phlox here. I just throw all this beside the garden and then come and pick it up with the garden cart. These are zinnias that are done, and they're not perennials, they're annuals, but some of these are also echinacea or purple coneflower, which are perennials. So I'm just, now that one I could tell is an annual, it just came right out of the ground, as are these ones. This is an echinacea because it's solid in the ground, so you can tell that way too, which are perennials and which are annuals usually. Okay, I've cleared all of the stems out of there. Now I just have to do the raking. I prefer a fine rake like this quite often. It gets in between the existing plants like tulips and things without doing too much damage, and it can pick up a lot of the finer litter that's in here. So there we are, the garden's cleaned out. Originally we had 4 main blocks of garden here. This one, that one, back there, and over here. And then this central area was a walkway. But gradually we just converted this walkway into other garden here, separated by these blocks. And of course the garden is outlined by the blocks too, that I got for free at a business that was going out of business at one time. Look at the leaf debris I got out of here. And there's also a lot of twigs from the big tree. So here's our fresh manure pile that was collected over the winter. I think I'll just add this garden litter onto this pile, spread it out a bit, and then I'll flip it over with the tractor a few times, and then this will all help turn into good compost. So this round garden here has some dense grass mats in it. This garden has several clumps of big blue stem grass. Then there's a non-native grass that I didn't really want in here. It got in here and now it's hard to get rid of because it spreads by underground rhizomes. That's the one that you see standing here. I thought I had most of it out about a year ago, but obviously not. This garden also has hyacinths and daffodils coming up in it for spring blooms, as well as some grape hyacinths. Anyhow, I'm just gonna take this grass out of here now. So for this job, I'm gonna be using this stiff rake, since we have some very tough grasses in here to pull out. The lighter rake I showed earlier won't really cut it, so I need this stiff rake to dig in and pull out these tough grasses. Got an old hosta here to rake out the dead leaves. You can just see how much stuff there is in here to remove. I'm going to get in here and do some hand pulling of some of these stems and some of the fallen material, because I have a lot of these hyacinths just coming up and blooming and I don't want to rake those out by mistake. So I'm just going to take a lot of this out by breaking it off as much as I can. And then I'll just try and scrape some of this out with my hand. There's just so much duff in here. So there you go, after about a half hour of work. You can see the amount of debris I've gotten out of this garden. Dead stems, dead leaves, grass leaves. And there's still a ton of grass in the garden that I don't want there. But this has always been a difficult garden to deal with because I have a lot of small succulent plants like these scattered through here. And you almost have to dig those up to try and dig the grass out. It becomes a huge workload, but you can see the debris I've got all around this garden. So I think I'm gonna get the wagon behind the ATV and take all this away because there's so much of it here. But you can see down here, I've got these different succulent plants, and maybe I should just get rid of them to make the gardening here easier. I also have blue flax scattered through here that I really like. It's a perennial that comes up every spring and summer and blooms beautifully for quite a long time with nice blue flowers. But it's a lot cleaner than it was, at least. Okay, here's the garden cleaned up for the most part. Still a few minor things stuck in there, but most of the debris is out. And you can see I've got a full ATV trailer full of the debris, and that's packed down pretty tight on top. So I'm just going to run this out to our other refuse pile and get rid of that. So here's one of our big garden waste piles. This would take stuff that we're not going to throw into the compost, just because we often get so much of this stuff, so we end up bringing it back here and piling it, and different animals can get in there and use it, hibernate in there, or just go under there in the winter. Here's some of our nice hyacinths in bloom. April 20th. So these splayed stems here are from false sunflower, or Heliopsis helianthoides. And I'll just come by here with my gloves and just snap these off. Now that they're dead, I can snap them off pretty easily. The same will be true for most of these echinacea here that I'll just snap off at the ground with my hand. This dense grass here is Sidotes grama, the dead leaves from last year, also known by its genus and species name as Bouteloua curtipendula, and it's one of the native prairie savanna grasses that's quite rare here in Ontario, and probably also the same down through the United States where it occurs. I'll just rake this out, this dead stuff. That'll give the new stuff a better chance to grow. This is an autumn joy sedum. You can see the new leaves of this year already coming at the base. And I'll just take some pruners and cut these dead stems off just above the new green growth there. There, that'll give the new grass growth a chance to get up through the dead stuff now. Still some dead stuff there, but it's reluctant to break off. I could take some grass shears and clip that off, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. There we go, the sedum's all cleaned up nice and tight now, and the leaves can actually get some sunshine to grow. This is my sea holly here, Aryngium. Let's take its dead stems off.